Let me be brutally honest with you. Nobody's coming to save you. No government, no boss, no side hustle fairy. If you're broke or constantly worried about money, it's not bad luck. It's not the economy. It's not your upbringing. It's your behavior. Today, I'm going to tell you 5 things that are quietly draining your future. And if you don't stop buying them, you will stay exactly where you are. Stressed, dependent, and financially fragile. This isn't motivational fluff. This is reality. Number 1, expensive cars you can't afford. Let me say this clearly, a car is not an asset. It is a depreciating hunk of metal. The moment you drive it off the lot, it's worth less. And yet people making modest incomes insist on leasing luxury vehicles to impress strangers they don't even like. If your car payment is bigger than your investment contribution, you've already lost. Rich people don't buy cars to feel rich. Poor people do. Drive something reliable, boring, paid off. Status symbols are for people with no status. Number 2, daily convenience spending. Coffee every morning. Food delivery every night. Apps that charge you just a few dollars. That phrase, "it's only $5, has destroyed more wealth than bad investments ever have. $5 a day is not $5. It's thousands a year. And here's the brutal truth. If you don't control small spending, you will never control large money. Discipline doesn't show up when you're rich. It's how you get rich. Number 3, subscriptions you don't even use, streaming services, fitness apps, software tools you signed up for and forgot about. You are bleeding money quietly, monthly, automatically. That's the worst kind of expense, the one you don't feel. Every subscription should earn its place. If it doesn't make you healthier, smarter, or richer, cancel it. Money loves attention. Neglect it, and it disappears. Number 4, cheap stuff that needs replacing. This one surprises people. Buying cheap is expensive. Low-quality clothes, electronics, furniture. You replace them again and again. You think you're saving money, but you're actually training yourself to accept short-term thinking. Investors think long-term. Consumers think short-term. Buy fewer things. Buy better things. Durability beats discounts every time. Number 5, lifestyle inflation. This is the most dangerous one. You get a raise, and suddenly your rent goes up. Your car gets nicer. Your vacations get fancier. You didn't get richer. You just got more fragile. If your expenses rise as fast as your income, you are running on a treadmill, and you will never build wealth that way. Every raise should first benefit your future self, not your ego. Let me leave you with this. Wealth is not about how much you make. It's about how much you keep and how wisely you deploy it. Stop buying things that make you feel rich today and start investing in things that make you free tomorrow. Because freedom, that's the real luxury, and it's available to anyone willing to be disciplined enough to earn it. Spending for status is one of the most common and destructive financial behaviors, and it traps people in a cycle they don't even realize they're in. It starts with the desire to look successful before actually becoming successful. People buy expensive cars, designer clothes, luxury watches, and flashy gadgets not because they need them, but because they want validation. They want to signal to the world that they've made it, even when their bank account tells a very different story. The problem is that status purchases don't build wealth, they consume it, and worse, they create ongoing obligations that make it harder to ever escape financial pressure. Status spending is rooted in insecurity, not confidence. Truly wealthy individuals don't need external symbols to prove their worth. They let their balance sheets do the talking. People who are still building wealth often feel pressure to display success early, especially in a culture driven by social media, comparison, and appearances. You see someone driving a luxury car, wearing expensive clothes, traveling first class, and you assume they're winning. What you don't see is the debt, the lease payments, the credit card balances, and the anxiety that comes with maintaining that image month after month. A luxury car is the perfect example. It feels powerful, impressive, and rewarding in the moment, but financially it's a disaster for most people. Cars depreciate rapidly. They lose value every year, every mile, every model update. When someone stretches their budget to afford a high-end vehicle, they lock themselves into large monthly payments, higher insurance costs, expensive maintenance, and opportunity loss. That money could have been invested, compounded, and grown over time, but instead it's parked in a driveway, slowly bleeding value. The car may impress neighbors for a few seconds, but it quietly delays financial independence by years. Clothing and accessories follow the same pattern. Designer labels don't make you richer, They make the brands richer. Buying expensive items to signal taste or success is a losing game because the signal fades quickly. Fashion changes, trends move on, and the need to keep up never ends. Someone who spends thousands on status clothing is essentially renting a feeling of importance that disappears the moment something newer comes along. Meanwhile, that money could have been used to build real assets, reduce debt, or create financial breathing room. Status spending also creates social traps. Once you present yourself as someone who lives a certain lifestyle, you feel pressured to maintain it. You go to more expensive restaurants, take pricier vacations, and say yes to things you can't comfortably afford because you don't want to appear like you're falling behind. This leads to a dangerous cycle where income increases are immediately absorbed by higher expenses. Instead of progress, you get dependency on the next paycheck, the next bonus, the next raise. The appearance of success replaces actual progress. Another hidden cost of spending for status is decision-making paralysis. When too much income is tied up in maintaining an image, people lose flexibility. They can't leave a bad job, take a risk, or invest in an opportunity because their fixed costs are too high. Their lifestyle owns them. Financial freedom requires margin, and margin disappears when ego-driven expenses take priority over stability. The more you spend to impress others, the fewer options you have for yourself. There is also a psychological toll. Status spending trains the brain to associate happiness with external approval. Instead of finding satisfaction in progress, discipline, and growth, people chase compliments, likes, and admiration. This is exhausting and unsustainable. No amount of purchases ever feels like enough because there will always be someone with something newer, bigger, or more expensive. The comparison never ends, and neither does the dissatisfaction. Wealth building works in the opposite direction. It is quiet, boring, and often invisible. It involves making choices that don't look impressive in the short term, driving a reliable car long after you could afford a nicer one, wearing simple clothes while your investments grow, living below your means even when your income rises. These decisions don't generate applause, but they generate leverage, security, and time. Real wealth gives you control over your schedule, your stress levels, and your future, not admiration from strangers. Spending for status also distorts priorities. Instead of asking, will this improve my long-term position? People ask, how will this make me look right now? That mindset guarantees poor outcomes. Money is a tool, and when it's used primarily for image, it stops working for you. It becomes something you constantly chase and lose instead of something you deploy strategically. The irony is that many people who look rich are financially fragile, while many who are wealthy look ordinary. The wealthy understand that money's greatest power is not what it buys, but what it frees you from. Freedom from debt, freedom from stress, freedom from dependence on a single paycheck. Status purchases undermine all of that by locking money into things that don't produce returns. Breaking the habit of status spending requires honesty. You have to admit who you're buying things for. If the answer isn't utility, durability, or value, then it's probably ego. Ego is expensive. It demands constant feeding and never produces income. The moment you stop trying to impress others, your financial life starts to improve almost immediately. Expenses drop, savings increase, and decisions become clearer. People who escape the status trap often experience a shift in confidence. They no longer need approval because they are building something real. Their money starts working for them instead of against them. They gain patience because they are focused on outcomes, not appearances. They understand that wealth is accumulated quietly and revealed slowly, if at all. Spending for status keeps you poor because it prioritizes perception over progress, emotion over logic, and the present moment over the future. It replaces discipline with impulse and substitutes real success with the illusion of it. As long as money is used to signal importance instead of create independence, financial growth remains out of reach, delayed by every purchase made to impress someone else, weighed down by obligations that serve no purpose beyond vanity, reinforcing habits that keep people chasing the look of wealth instead of the reality of it. Small daily expenses are dangerous precisely because they feel harmless. They slip past your defenses without resistance, disguised as convenience, comfort, or reward. A coffee here, a snack there, a quick delivery because you're tired, a ride instead of a walk, an app upgrade because it's only a few dollars. None of these decisions feel like a mistake on their own, and that's why they work so well at keeping people financially stuck. The damage isn't dramatic, it's silent, and by the time it becomes visible, years have already passed. The human brain is terrible at understanding accumulation. We react strongly to large one-time costs, but we ignore small recurring ones. A $1,000 purchase gets scrutiny. A $5 daily habit gets a pass. But $5 every day is not $5. It's over $1,800 a year, and that's just one habit. Most people have dozens. The problem isn't the number, it's the repetition. Money that leaves your account regularly becomes invisible, and invisible expenses are the most dangerous kind. Convenience is the most expensive luxury people buy without realizing it. Paying more to save a few minutes feels justified in the moment, especially when life feels busy or stressful. Food delivery, ride services, prepackaged meals, express shipping, premium features, all marketed as time savers. But the trade-off is rarely examined. The time saved is often wasted anyway, while the money is permanently gone. Over time, this creates a pattern where money is exchanged for comfort instead of progress, and comfort never compounds. Daily spending habits also shape identity. When someone repeatedly chooses convenience over discipline, they reinforce the belief that they deserve shortcuts. This mindset leaks into other areas of life, including finances. Investing, saving, and building wealth require patience and delayed gratification, the exact opposite of what daily impulse spending trains you to do. Each small purchase becomes a vote for immediacy over strategy, pleasure over planning. Another issue is emotional spending. Small purchases are often used as rewards, stress relief, or distractions. A bad day turns into a treat. A boring moment turns into scrolling and buying. The amounts are small enough to avoid guilt, but frequent enough to cause harm. Over time, money becomes tied to mood regulation instead of value creation. This creates dependency. Instead of addressing stress, fatigue, or dissatisfaction, people numb it with spending, which only adds financial pressure to the original problem. What makes small expenses especially destructive is opportunity cost. Money spent daily is money that never gets the chance to grow. If redirected into investments, even modest amounts can compound into something meaningful over time. The difference between someone who builds wealth and someone who doesn't is often not income, but what happens to the leftover money. Small daily expenses ensure there is no leftover money. Everything gets consumed, leaving nothing to deploy. Subscriptions are a perfect example. They start small, feel manageable, and often go unnoticed. A few dollars here, $10 there, quietly withdrawn every month. People forget what they signed up for, stop using the service, but keep paying anyway. Over years, these forgotten expenses add up to thousands of dollars spent on nothing. The real cost isn't just financial, it's attentional. Each unchecked subscription represents a lack of control, a small leak in the system. Daily spending also creates false scarcity. When money constantly leaves your account in small amounts, you always feel like you're just getting by. Even with a decent income, there's a sense of tightness, of never quite having enough. This leads to stress, anxiety, and the belief that making more money is the only solution. In reality, the issue is not income, it's leakage. Until the leaks are sealed, more money simply flows out faster. There's also a compounding behavioral effect. When people believe their small spending doesn't matter, they become careless. This carelessness spreads. They stop tracking expenses, stop budgeting, stop questioning decisions. Financial awareness erodes slowly, replaced by autopilot. Autopilot is fine for breathing, but terrible for money. Wealth requires intention, and intention disappears when daily choices go unquestioned. Marketing thrives on small numbers. Companies don't advertise annual costs. They advertise monthly or daily ones. Only $9.99 a month sounds harmless, but multiplied across dozens of services and years of payments, it becomes significant. The system is designed to lower resistance, to make spending feel painless. If you don't actively push back, you will be drained slowly and consistently. The danger isn't that people don't know small expenses exist. It's that they underestimate them. They treat them as noise instead of signals. In reality, daily spending habits reveal how someone relates to money. Whether they plan or react, whether they value control or comfort, whether they think long-term or live moment to moment. These habits don't stay small, they scale with income. Someone who wastes $5 a day will waste $50 when they earn more. Daily expenses also crowd out better choices. When money is constantly allocated to minor indulgences, there's resistance to larger, more meaningful investments. People hesitate to invest, save, or learn because those decisions feel heavy and restrictive, while daily spending feels light and deserved. This inversion of values keeps people stuck consuming instead of building. Discipline with small expenses is not about deprivation. It's about awareness and prioritization. It's the understanding that money should serve goals, not impulses. Every small purchase is a trade. You are trading future flexibility for present comfort. When that trade happens occasionally and intentionally, it's manageable. When it happens constantly and unconsciously, it becomes destructive. People who master their finances don't ignore small expenses. They respect them. They understand that consistency works both ways. Just as small investments can grow into large sums, small expenses can quietly erase potential. The difference between progress and stagnation is often measured in habits so minor they seem irrelevant. Repeated so often they become decisive, shaping outcomes not through force but through persistence, draining resources day after day, unnoticed, unchallenged, accepted as normal until financial stress feels permanent and unavoidable. Raising your lifestyle feels like progress, but most of the time it's just a disguised form of stagnation. When income increases, there is a powerful temptation to upgrade everything at once. A better apartment, a nicer car, more expensive restaurants, upgraded flights, newer gadgets. Each upgrade feels earned, justified by hard work and long hours. The problem is that these changes often happen automatically, without strategy, and they quietly lock people into a higher cost structure that leaves them no better off than before. Lifestyle inflation is seductive because it mirrors growth without delivering it. On paper, income rises, but in practice, disposable income stays flat. The extra money disappears into higher monthly obligations. Rent or mortgage payments increase. Insurance costs rise. Maintenance and repair expenses grow. Subscriptions multiply. What looked like a financial step forward turns into a heavier load that must be carried every month, regardless of job security or economic conditions. One of the biggest dangers of lifestyle inflation is fragility. When expenses are tightly matched to income, there is no buffer. A missed paycheck, a health issue, or an unexpected bill can create immediate stress. People living this way often feel successful on the surface, but internally they are anxious, constantly aware that their lifestyle depends on uninterrupted cash flow. This dependency removes leverage and choice. It forces people to tolerate bad jobs, toxic environments, and unfulfilling work because the bills demand it. Lifestyle upgrades also tend to be permanent, while income is not. Raises can stop, bonuses can disappear, jobs can change. Expenses, however, are sticky. Once you move into a more expensive home or commit to a higher car payment, it's psychologically and logistically difficult to reverse. Downgrading feels like failure, even when it's the rational choice. This creates a one-way ratchet where costs rise easily but fall painfully, trapping people in a narrow financial lane. Another issue is the normalization effect. What once felt luxurious quickly becomes standard. The nicer apartment becomes just home. The better car becomes just transportation. The upgraded experiences stop delivering excitement, but the costs remain. This leads to a constant search for the next upgrade to recreate the feeling of progress. The cycle repeats, consuming income without building anything lasting. Lifestyle inflation also crowds out investing. Money that could have been directed toward assets ends up tied to liabilities. Instead of ownership, people accumulate obligations. Instead of compounding, they accumulate costs. Over time, this creates a widening gap between effort and outcome. People work harder, earn more, but feel no closer to financial security. The rewards of their labor are consumed in real time instead of stored for the future. There is also a social dimension. As people raise their lifestyle, their social circle often shifts. Expectations change. Activities become more expensive. The pressure to keep up increases. Saying no becomes harder. What started as a personal choice turns into a shared standard that reinforces higher spending. This makes it even more difficult to step back or reassess without feeling out of place. Raising your lifestyle too quickly also weakens resilience. When someone is accustomed to a high level of comfort, even small disruptions feel significant. Minor inconveniences become intolerable. This reduces adaptability, an essential trait for long-term success. Financial resilience comes from flexibility, from the ability to adjust quickly and calmly. Lifestyle inflation erodes that ability by increasing dependence on a specific level of income. There is a difference between intentional upgrades and reactive ones. Intentional upgrades are planned, aligned with long-term goals, and supported by a strong financial base. Reactive upgrades happen because the money is there and spending feels like the natural next step. Most people upgrade reactively. They don't ask whether the change improves their future position. They ask whether they can afford it right now. That question sets a very low bar. Lifestyle inflation also distorts motivation. When higher income is immediately consumed, there is little reward for effort beyond temporary comfort. This can lead to burnout and dissatisfaction. People feel like they are running faster without getting anywhere. The sense of progress that comes from saving, investing, and building disappears, replaced by the fleeting pleasure of consumption. Another hidden cost is time. A higher lifestyle often requires more maintenance. Bigger homes take more time to manage. More possessions require more organization, cleaning, and attention. This reduces the time available for rest, learning, and relationships. The pursuit of comfort paradoxically creates more obligations, not fewer. People often justify lifestyle inflation by saying they deserve it. And to a degree, that's true. Enjoying the fruits of labor is part of a balanced life. The problem arises when enjoyment comes at the expense of stability and growth. When every increase in income is matched by an increase in spending, there is no surplus. Without surplus, there is no investment. Without investment, there is no compounding. Without compounding, long-term wealth remains out of reach. Those who build lasting wealth treat raises differently. They see additional income as an opportunity to strengthen their foundation, not decorate the surface. They increase savings, accelerate investments, reduce risk, and buy optionality. Lifestyle improvements come later, selectively, and often more modestly than they could afford. This restraint is not about denial, but about control. Lifestyle inflation keeps people financially young, no matter how much they earn. It ensures that dependence on income never ends. Each new level of earnings brings new costs, new pressures, and new vulnerabilities. The appearance of success grows, but the underlying structure remains weak. When lifestyle rises faster than financial literacy and discipline, money becomes a treadmill. You move, but you don't advance. The key difference between raising your lifestyle and building wealth is direction. One points inward, toward consumption. The other points forward toward security and freedom. Confusing the two leads to years of effort with little to show for it, higher stress with higher income, and a constant sense that something is missing despite having more than ever before.